Hey there, it's Brian Bergford, and I wanted to put together something for you. The no whining sort of tasting form or tasting sheet to give you a little bit of a rundown and a form that you could fill out, that you could have in front of you when you're tasting wines, when we're tasting wines together, so that you have a little bit of, again, a format, something that gives some structure to your tasting. And I really encourage you to track the wines that you taste, to dig a little bit deeper, right? And if you're new to this, as you're looking at this sheet, there's a lot of stuff on here that you could fill out. Just start and fill out a few of the basic things. You don't have to fill out every single section of it initially. Just get something going. But as you get more comfortable with it, I would encourage you to fill in more and more of the details. And so I'm going to go through each one of these sections today, so when you get into it, you know what to do with each portion of this form. All right, let's talk here first about top right. You're going to have today's date. Under the wine information, you will want to fill out the vintage year. You'll want to fill out the name of the producer here. You'll want to fill out the name of the wine if it has been granted one. Then you've got a little space here, grape variety or grape varieties. You want to put those in here also. What region is the wine hailing from? Okay, and then you will also put in ABV, or alcohol by volume. So these are all pieces of information that you can pull from the bottle. A lot of times you'll want to look on the back of the bottle for these items, but it's definitely all in there. So again, in the beginning, you may just want to fill out, hey, the vintage and the types of grapes or the producer, but start somewhere, all right? And then you can build on that. Then we go to our eyes. Now, when you're tasting wine, you want to go from the top of your head to the bottom, right? So we're going to start with our eyes. We're going to, before we start, just guzzling the wine, okay? You want to make sure you take a glance at it. And here's the things that I would encourage you to look at first. So the first one is the shade of the wine. Is it pale? Is the color pale? Is it like a medium color intensity, or is it really deep? So what kind of a shade is it? And just circle one of those items and then go in and fill out whatever color that you think that this wine is. So in white wine, is it going to be a yellow wine? Is it golden color? Is it a little bit amber? Does it have some brown? If it's a rosé wine, it's going to be pink, or maybe it's salmon, or maybe it's even orange. If it is a red wine, you're probably going to be looking at either purple, ruby, maybe even garnet, okay? If it's an older wine, you might have a tawny wine or even a brown wine, okay, if it's really got some age on it. So those are the colors that you might want to put in here. Or you can just make up whatever color, like when you look at it, you just put in there whatever makes sense to you, okay? And then go down here to any bubbles, sediment, cloudiness, tears or legs, or other observations, and just fill in anything that you see there, okay? So that takes us through the eyes. Then we're going to move down the face a little bit. We're going to go to our schnoz, or what I have on here is the nose, which is what it's more frequently referred to, but a little more boring in my opinion. Okay, we have got the strength of aromas. So you're going to say, wow, is this kind of weak in terms of its aromatic intensity, or is it really, really strong, like in your face, blowing up your sinuses, or you could smell that thing from a mile away, or is it somewhere in the middle? And so circle one of those options in there. And then I want you to come down here to specific aromas detected. And I would really encourage you to spend a lot of time here. Be really patient with it, because this is where the wine will speak to you and where you will really discern a lot of the character of the wine itself. Now, you've seen people swirling their glass a little bit, and it's like, wow, are they just being snobby? Well, yeah, it is a snobbish thing to do, but also there is actually a purpose to it. When you swirl the wine, what it does is it helps the alcohol to evaporate. And as that alcohol is swished around and it starts to evaporate, well, it's combined with a lot of different compounds, aromatic compounds in the wine itself. And so as it evaporates, it's kind of bringing those aromas up to your nose, where you're going to get a lot more out of the wine than if it was just sitting there still. Okay, so it helps open it up for you. So then go through the categories of different things like fruit. Start with whatever fruit aromas you're picking up on, okay? Do you detect any type of floral aromas? Is there anything related to like creaminess, like butter type aromas? Do you detect any type of like toast or bread? And then you can get into some of the herbal things. Are you picking up on anything herbal in there? Any type of spices that you're detecting? You can also go to things like earth aromas. Okay, so things like you'll hear like forest floor or just earth in general, maybe like wet leaves, truffles, mushrooms, etc. And then you can also pay attention if you smell anything related to like stone or mineral content. So like a wet stone aroma on like a hot day after a rain. Do you get anything from that? Do you get anything like flinty? Those types of things. Okay, so really take your time with the aromatic profile on the wine. And then go ahead and come down to the palate itself. And what you want to do is circle one of these sweetness levels. Okay, is the wine dry? Meaning it doesn't have any detectable sugar on your tongue and on your palate, or is it off dry, where it's got a little bit of sugar, not much, but you can detect just a little, or is it actually sweet, where the presence of sugar is readily apparent? Now, one thing I would encourage you is it can be really easy to confuse a wine that's very fruity in its flavor profile for sweetness. And when we're talking about sweetness, we're not talking about the flavor profile and if it's fruity or not. We're talking about, does it actually have sugar in the wine itself? Okay, then you're going to come down to the body. Is it light? Is it medium? Is it a full-bodied wine? One of the kind of classic examples is a light-bodied wine would be like water, all right? And a full-bodied wine might be like whole milk. Medium would be obviously somewhere in the middle. Then you're going to come down here and write down what level of alcohol is it. Is it low alcohol wine, which would pretty much be below 11%? Is it medium, which would be anywhere between there and maybe like just under 14%? Or would it be a high level of alcohol, which would be like 14 and above? In most still wines, fortified wines are kind of different. And then you're going to come down under acidity. Okay, is it a low level of acidity? Is it a really high level of acidity? Is it somewhere in the middle? One way to detect this is when you swallow the wine, okay, all the way, and then if you tip your head forward just a little bit with your tongue held up, see how quickly and aggressively saliva kind of fills back in those spaces. Because when you have a really acidic wine, what your body does is it wants to sort of rebalance your environment in your mouth. And so it will bring saliva in there to reduce the acidity. Does that make sense? And so high acid wines are going to make you salivate like crazy. Wines without much acidity at all, you're not going to have that effect as prominently. And then you're going to come down to tannins. Is it a low level of tannins? Is it medium? Is it high level? Of course, this is going to be pretty much exclusively in red wines. So you don't have to worry about this really when you're tasting white wines, but for red wines, and how you can maybe tell this is just take a little bit in your mouth and kind of swish it around, especially kind of like mouthwash, especially between your teeth and gums, and then swallow the wine and see how much your teeth start to stick to your gums. If there's a lot of tannin in the wine, there will be a lot of teeth sticking to gums. You'll notice in really low tannin wines, that's not nearly as prominent. Then it says strength of flavors on here. Okay, so are the flavors kind of like we did on the nose, right? We said, were the aromas, were they weak? Were they strong? Were they somewhere in the middle? Same thing here. Strength of flavors, are they weak? Are they strong? Or are they kind of in the middle? And then we've got specific flavors detected. So again, this is anything beyond or different from aromas that you already detected on the nose. So anything outside of that, you can kind of write down here. And then if you have any other notes about, the wine's texture, things like that you're picking up on the palate, this is the place for it. And then we come down to the very bottom here where we've got personal impressions and rating. Okay, so this is the most subjective portion of your tasting note. And so just feel free, that's where you're going to kind of freeform, write anything that you want to remember about the wine, anything that you'd maybe like to forget if it wasn't very good. And if you want to put a personal rating, it can be really helpful to track wines with your own rating system. You could use a scale that goes from 0 to 100. That's something that you might have seen a lot. Wines rated rated on a scale of 100, pretty common in the industry, but that's no better than, like, if you want to use a scale that's from 1 to 10, use a 1 to 10 scale. If you want to use a starred scale, like 1 to 5 stars, use that. The biggest key is to make sure that you have a consistent rating scale, because what you can do, for example, is go back through all your tasting notes for the last year, the last 2 years. If you have a special event coming up, if you are going to be with friends and you want to share a really, really wonderful bottle of a white or a rosé or a red or a sweet wine, you can look through your notes at the very, very highest rated wines that you've tasted that year, and you can find them like that. Instead of just trying to remember off the top of your head, it's kind of nice to have an archive. So I hope this makes sense. I hope you use this tasting form. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next No Whining episode.